Later on this afternoon, the sun is going to come back out and the winds will slowly subside. But you can see across the road here how much wind we still have blowing those trees. Haven't seen any come down here, but we've got reports of trees down in the area. And that doesn't surprise me when you have over 90% of the power customers in this parish, Rapides Parish, here in Alexandria, this area without power. There's trees down. That's just not from poles getting blown down. That's mostly from trees down. But right here, we don't see any trees down. But with 86-mile-an-hour wind gusts and a wet ground, we've had 5 inches of rain. That is the perfect prescription for knocking down trees. I want to show you some of the video from earlier. This is from about an hour and a half or so ago. We kind of got the remnant, what was left of the eastern eye wall, and we were getting consistent gusts, 60, 70, over hurricane force. We got a couple at this point of 81 miles an hour. You can just hear the wind howling down the road. Just incredible pictures from what is a hurricane, and we're so far inland. We're 125 miles as the crow flies to the Gulf of Mexico. So you've got to have a pretty potent storm and one that's moving at a good rate for it to hold on to its wind and power this far inland. And it's still blowing pretty good north of us, where we still have the core of the heaviest rain and the strongest winds, and that's going to go up in Arkansas. And eventually the storm's going to take a right in the next day or so. Let's go back to Atlanta, and I'm tossing to Alex or Dr. Postel.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go to Dr. Postel, because Dr. Postel has obviously a lot more to talk about. There's so many interesting facets about this hurricane. And one thing I remember, it was like 10 or 12 days ago, out in the Atlantic, the Eastern Atlantic, and it was struggling. Remember that, Dr. Postel? It was struggling, and we were wondering if it was ever going to become a depression or a storm, and it finally became a storm, and it still struggled. But boy, it persevered, and once it got, even with Hispaniola and the Cuban mountains, once it got into the Gulf of Mexico, it just went gangbusters and the day before.
Yes, this is another iteration in a recent line of hurricanes in the northern Gulf of Mexico and in western Gulf of Mexico too, that have strengthened all the way up to landfall. That didn't used to be the case, at least in my experience going back decades. It was always that these hurricanes would kind of weaken as they made final approach to land in, let's say, the northern Gulf or in Texas. Now we've had a lot of recent experience with Laura and Michael and Harvey in South Texas, where we've seen these things just blow up in the last 12 hours or even the last 24 hours before landfall. I'm not sure if that's a trend, but I don't like it, and it's something to prepare for the next time we see a hurricane, because we're going to see another hurricane, we know, of course, at some point in the Gulf of Mexico. Just I'll leave you with this. Look at some of these wind gusts that we've seen from Laura, and I do believe this instrument was knocked offline just after that measurement. So we may have seen even higher winds than that in and around the Lake Charles area. We'll be right back.